Match day -3, and rugby's greatest rivalry tour is really starting to wrap up. Rassie Erasmus and Dave Rennie both set to name their sides for the first test tomorrow. We are here at the headquarters of AB InBev, where they are about to launch the trophy. Sean Fitzpatrick and Gary Teichmann, the two captains from the last time we had a tour like this, ready to unveil a trophy in a bit that the teams will be competing over the 4 tests. First test, Ellis Park, then down to Cape Town, back to Johannesburg, before the series comes to a close in Baltimore. Expect to see a lot of VIPs, a lot of guests over here, and basically take you behind the scenes on the trophy launch and see exactly what it is Sia Khaleesi and Ardie Savia will be competing for over the next few weeks.
Okay, well, I think enough of me, the man of the moment. I would like to now call upon Mr. Vaughan Kruse, VP of Marketing of SAB, to officially welcome all of you here on behalf of SAB.
Good afternoon, everyone. To our long-standing partners, SA Rugby President, Mr. Mark Alexander, the President of New Zealand Rugby, Mrs. Erin Rush, the CEO of the South African Breweries, Boris, as he likes to be called, our VP of Sales, Jaco Pereira, Head of Brand, Mr. Thomas Lawrence for Castle Double Malt, our rugby legends, Mr. Sean Fitzpatrick and Gary Teichmann, and Mr. Oliver Ward from Strategy Creative. And of course, our esteemed members of media, both locally and abroad. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute privilege to welcome you to the home of the South African Breweries. SAB celebrates more than 40 years of unbroken service to our beloved Springboks, a commitment that is testament to the values of both these organizations. Beer's role in bringing people together to socialize around the things that they love is as relevant today as it has ever been. And that's why today is much bigger than a trophy. It's about celebrating something that has inspired many generations. Every great Springbok team has been challenged by a great All Black side, and every great All Black side has been challenged by a great Springbok team. That is what greatness does. Greatness recognizes greatness, and it's our competitors that push us to be better. Now, Castle Double Malt's brand positioning highlights that extraordinary things happen when two exceptional elements come together. It is a philosophy that sits at the heart of everything we do on this brand, and really why this partnership for us feels so authentic. Two rugby nations, two proud histories, two teams, and one rivalry that continues to inspire the world. Because you see, just like our beer, rugby has that unique ability to unite communities, create unforgettable moments, and bring people together around something that is truly bigger than themselves. So on a personal note, I have a picture here. 5 decades ago, on a tour exactly like this one, my uncle, Dion Janse van Rensburg, was given the very unique, life-changing opportunity to play against the All Blacks at Pombrink Stadium in Springs. He played fly-half for the Eastern Transvaal in a match which New Zealand won 26-12. This picture hangs very proudly in my father-in-law's bar, a cherished family memory, and one which my uncle still fondly talks about to his aspiring young rugby player grandson, who is attending Stellenbosch University. That is the power of rugby, to inspire, to unite across generations. Now, SAB is incredibly proud to play a role in helping preserve and celebrate the legacy of this rivalry, the greatest rivalry. So to everyone joining us today, thank you for helping us write this next chapter and truly celebrating what happens when two greats come together. Cheers.
title partner of rugby's greatest rivalry, not for persons under the age of 18.
Yeah, that's a TVC that's not been released yet, so you got the first look at that. That's really, really cool. For Castle Double Malt, rugby's greatest rivalry, I decided to pitch up here today completely neutral. Thanks, guys. But there's a man who's the heartbeat behind South African rugby, and I look at him and he reminds me of my grandfather. So I'd now like to call upon SA Rugby's president, Mr. Mark Alexander, to please address the room.
Thank you, Grandma. That is not the eulogy. I went to a function a week ago for Griqualand West, and when I took the speech out of my pocket, it was actually for a eulogy. I'm glad I got the right speech, thank you. Aaron Rush, the president of New Zealand Rugby, welcome. Boris, the CEO of SAB, Vaughan. Our SAB colleagues, thanks once again for hosting this event. Members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, it is my profound honor to welcome you to the commencement of the international test stage of the greatest rugby rivalry. Today, we stand at the threshold of another historic chapter in our storied contest between the Springboks and the All Blacks, a rivalry that has shaped the very soul of our game and inspired generations across the globe. This stage is it's not merely about competition, it's about heritage, respect, and the enduring values of rugby. It's about two nations whose journeys have been intertwined through decades of fierce battles, unforgettable moments, and shared triumphs. Today, we also unveil a symbol that will forever mark this rivalry, the new trophy design, crafted with vision and purpose. A lasting reminder that while the rivalry fuels passion, it is unity and respect that sustains our game. This design embodies the essence of the contest, distinct yet inseparable, represents the strength in competition and solidarity in fellowship. It is the testament to the idea that rugby's greatest rivalry are always the greatest unifiers. And on behalf of South African rugby, I want to extend my gratitude to our colleagues from New Zealand Rugby and our partners, in particular SAB. You have made this moment possible. May the stage of the rivalry inspire not only the players and fans, but also future generations who will carry forward the values of respect, integrity, solidarity, discipline, and passion. Let us celebrate this rivalry, this trophy, and the enduring friendship between our nations. I thank you.
Okay, that was the last one, I promise. Well, they say behind every strong man stands an even stronger woman, and I think for all of us women who are in the world of rugby, it's an incredible honour today to be able to welcome and present to stage Ms. Erin Rush, the President of New Zealand Rugby.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your warm welcome and the most incredible warm welcome from South African Rugby, the staff and all the people of South Africa who have made us so welcome in your country so far. We shall see on Saturday how welcome it might be. But it's a real honour to be here in the presence of rugby legends Gary Teichmann and Sean Fitzpatrick, and to be here to launch the Castle Double Malt trophy for the Greatest Rugby Rivalry Tour. In 1996, wherever you are, Sean, as you thumped the grass at the end of that game, in New Zealand I was watching, as so many were, and we were cheering and hooping and yelling at the television in celebration with you, and all that release of tension and probably relief and excitement that brought. Well, that was my most recent memory of such a tour, and in this role I'm so privileged to hold, I have of course been reflecting on archival footage and photographs and stories from many, many tours before, both here in South Africa and in New Zealand. And so many things stand out, but huge crowds, undeniable enthusiasm, sort of wild public interest in both countries, and a maturing awareness of political tensions that of course have shaped both our stories. But before and today, the players know, the fans know, and the world knows that these are the two greatest rugby playing nations on the planet, and they are worthy of a trophy like no other. So I'd like to extend the most hearty congratulations and the credit to the designers and artists and the team who have put together this beautiful taonga, which is a New Zealand Māori word for treasure, because it really does represent rugby's greatest rivalry. So thank you and congratulations.
Of course I will, Erin. Could I not? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we all know that between the two countries there's always tension, but I think even more so the respect is palpable. So to both presidents, thank you so very much for being able to build something that we as media, as people who love the game of rugby, can get to enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, now for the moment that you have all been waiting for. I think we have kept you in suspense for long enough. For this moment though, I am going to ask that we please clear the way all the way from the back, and then the walk up front. We said for more than a century that these two sides have stood opposite one another. We said they have competed against one another, they've challenged one another. But the one thing is certain is that rugby continues to draw them back together. It is now time to reveal the new Castle Double Malt Rugby's Greatest Rivalry trophy. Sean, if I may please ask you to move the trophy to the base over there. Ladies and gentlemen, the base is grounded in natural stone from each nation. The New Zealand blade is anchored in the pakoe, the black stone from Aotearoa, New Zealand, and the South African blade rests in the green stone, the verdite, from South Africa. hope so too. Thank you, Sean. Thank you so very much, gentlemen. What a moment. I think upon reflection, we can all just take a moment to look at the trophy. You will see there are plenty of different meanings behind all of the lines, which we will all get into in just a moment. And what an opportunity to be able to present this all to you today. Well, I would like to now please ask to join me on stage Mr. Mark Alexander, the President of SA Rugby, as well as Ollie Ward, who is the Creative Director and Strategy Creative, to be able to just talk us through the meaning, the thinking behind this trophy. I love the drama. Well, Mr. Mark Alexander, Ollie, thank you guys so much for joining me up on stage here. Mr. Alexander, I'm going to start with you. Can you just explain the decision around, why this trophy was made this way? From SA Rugby's point of view, what was the thinking when you guys had to start giving your inputs on why you wanted the trophy to be this way?
I think we wanted the trophies to represent both our nations. And as Ollie will explain later how the trophy was designed, it represents both our countries. It's a strong, rich history, and we wanted to in the trophy, it must have that history enshrined in the trophy. And when Ollie explains why it's designed in a particular way, it will explain why we have the trophy designed this way.
Well, I think the big chat has been around the 2-all. and it's a 4-test series, and if there's a tiebreaker, can you just talk us through what actually happened?
If one looks at history in 1921 and 1928, we had a tied series. If we want to talk about history and continuity, I think continuity is that if we have to draw the series, we can each take a part of the trophy away and keep that. So the two halves come together to form a whole. And that was the thought process. We spoke about doing a tie break, and we just couldn't find each other on that. But again, one has to be consistent with history. There were 2 previous ties in the series, and why not continue with that history? It's a series, not a competition.
Exactly. Here for the enjoyment. Ollie, I'm going to come to you because you understand the brains trust behind all of this and the creative work behind it. When you were first briefed about this trophy, where did you even start? Where was the beginning? Sorry guys, can we just quickly, okay.
Yeah, big question. I think, we started at the beginning with understanding everything. So, you've maybe heard already around the narrative around this tour being like no other. And so that was, so this idea of like no other was, I guess, the start point, right? It was the ambition that we were given as a brief to design something that was like no other. So, then that meant looking at, what do all the others look like? And when you start to look at global sporting trophies, most of them are cups. And so we knew we didn't want to be a cup. So I guess that was the first piece of the puzzle. And then we wanted to look, how do we find something that's unique and that's ownable to the rivalry itself and to the 2 nations? So we looked at that, and from that we came to this idea around magnetism. So I guess multiple parts to that. One, in that these 2 nations are these opposing forces that clash together, right? And they have all this energy. But as has already been mentioned, there's this really strong bond between the 2 nations. So like magnets, they come together and they they've pulled together, I guess, as well, over history, time and time again, around World Cups, here again today with this tour. And so, that idea of magnetism really, I guess, anchored us in something unique that we could work with. I guess the third piece to magnetism is also that energy, that magnetic energy that exists when the two teams come together, that really draws everyone in, draws the fans in, draws the whole world in to watch. So, magnetism became that idea. So we knew, okay, we want to do a trophy that had two pieces to it, that represented each nation and could come together through magnets. We didn't find out about the whole four test thing until later, but if we had, it was a good solution as well to be able to split the trophy. And then, I guess the last component to it was the actual form, right? So we knew it, we didn't want it to be a cup because that's very common. And so we looked for something that was able to be this unifier within rugby, and what we came to was this idea of grass. It's a really simple thing, but it's that sort of level playing field that unites everyone who plays rugby. The kids who play barefoot through to the pinnacle of rugby, Alice Park, Eden Park, where these global stages for the greatest rivalry. And so that became the form that you can see there, inspired by a blade of grass.
Yeah, so two blades of grass then coming together with that magnet. You had two artists working on this particular trophy as well, and you can obviously see there are different lines that go through it, each with its own meaning, the different kind of form behind it. Can you just talk to us about the thinking of the artists and how they wanted to portray the two different nations?
Yeah, so it was really important that we represented and captured the cultures of each nation. I guess rugby is a really big part of culture within both New Zealand and South Africa, and so we searched for an artist from each nation, so one from New Zealand and one from South Africa, and they were tasked with representing the rivalry in their own way. Obviously creating a reference through to history and to cultures, but also looking forward to the future and what this rivalry means 100 years from now. Do you want me to go into detail about the artists?
Sure. Well, I think maybe just tell everyone present here today, what was the lines, the meaning. I know there's a lot of kind of history behind the way that the designs actually came.
Yeah, so the New Zealand artist, Kiriyama Taipa, he's an artist. He works mainly in a digital space. He takes traditional carving, Māori carving, and does it instead of with chisels, he does it with 3D software. And so for him, he within Māori storytelling, visual storytelling, there's a lot of mythology that's expressed through symbolism, through patterns, and his earliest account of a rivalry was the story between two brothers, Maui and Fido, who basically compete to get to the sky by climbing these vines to reach the buttons of knowledge. And so they're brothers, so I guess there's that connection between them, much like there is with the two teams. But there's also that rivalry to push towards a goal and to take different paths to get there. So for him, that was the story that really resonated with this tour. And so the pattern that you can see, the artwork on this side, is representing those vines and that journey up into the buttons of knowledge. The South African artist, Bonolo Papi, she is a textile designer based in Cape Town. And for her, she really focused in on the idea of what greatness means, and that it can't be achieved individually or as a single team alone. It requires a lot of support and everyone pushing each other. And so much like the rivalry with New Zealand and South Africa, it's these two teams that have helped to support and push each other to really strive for this goal of being the greatest. And so her work represents that idea, and I guess more broadly as well, as individuals, as community, being able to support each other and push each other to greatness.
Amazing. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Mr. Perez. Thank you, Ollie. Thank you so much for joining me here on stage. I'm sure that was incredibly enlightening, and I think for everyone present here today, we are very lucky to be in the presence of a trophy like this, and you gentlemen, so thank you so very much. Sean's fault, hey? Come on, Sean. We rehearsed this 5 times. But I think now that we've put you on the spot, ladies and gentlemen, I think the most important thing is to be able to speak to 2 players who have been able to play in this rivalry. So I'd please like to call upon onto the stage Sean Fitzpatrick as well as Gary Teichmann, and then the man who said he's in the running to potentially play this weekend, Thomas Lawrence. You can sit next to me, Tom. We bonded so well. Gentlemen, thank you so very much. I think I'm going to start with you on that side. Gary, first and foremost, was it incredible? What's more nerve-wracking, bringing up a trophy or playing against the All Blacks?
I think the trophy. And I wish there were 4 tests in our day. Would have loved to have had that 4th test to try and get back. But yeah,
2-1's your worst numbers, hey?
It was a great honour to bring that up. I was very fortunate to play in that last test series. We didn't really know where professional rugby was going, and so to play in that last test series was just a massive honour. Probably, I think, one of the hardest series I have played in.
Sean, you broke South African hearts in Durban. We kick off in Joburg this weekend. Can you just, from a player's perspective, especially being able to come to South Africa and play here in that series, can you just, give us a little bit of insight on your journey then?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's firstly, a great pleasure to see Gary. I think we've seen each other occasionally over the last 30 years. But a true honour, a true great Springbok. You talk about the greatest rivalry for me. Growing up in New Zealand, there's a few New Zealand media here, and they would all testify that the All Blacks playing the Springboks was our greatest challenge, without question. We'd wake up in the early hours of the morning. Unfortunately, I didn't remember 1921 or 1928. But probably my first memory was 1976, when the All Blacks toured here. And the scorched fields, the burnt fields, the All Blacks wearing pads on their knees so they didn't get grass burns. But even then it was the greatest rivalry. New Zealand had good teams, but couldn't get it over the line and win a series. And then to get the opportunity, I never thought I'd come to South Africa as an All Black, let alone as the All Black captain, and to get the opportunity to come back here at 92 and to play at Ellis Park. It was like a dream come true. And everyone that played in that game, to play against some of our greatest heroes, Dani Herbert, an absolute legend. I marked Uli Smit, who was a player that I sort of aspired to be like. Although when we did arrive at the international airport here at Joburg, there was probably 3,000 or 4,000 people at the airport to welcome the All Blacks back into South Africa. And we were pretty excited about that. And then I was sitting up the front of the bus, and this little kid came running up to the window, and he threw a sign at me, and it said, "Uli is going to kill you." Sort of thing. Well, it was great to be here, and then we went down to Kings Park in Durban, and for me that was just the mecca to play there. So, for us to come back in '96, to have the opportunity to win a series, and although there was a number of older boys on the team that knew the history, there was some younger members, the Christian Collins of the world, that we had to educate and tell them about the legacy and how important it was that we prepared on the field. But I tell you what, and I'm sure the guys are experiencing it now, It is a 24/7 challenge. You know, off the field is relentless. And as it is for, I'm sure Gary would say the same when you come to New Zealand. Everyone, the little old lady down at the 4 Square telling you that he kicked too much or did this, did that, which is just the way it is when we come here. You know, we are going to kill you. I'm going to scrum you. And all those things, which is just great. I love it. I love being back. I just arrived today. And it's so good to be here. And as I said to Gary, it's actually probably nicer being a fan than the pressure we went through when we had to play.
Yeah. Well, Gary, I want to touch on your thoughts. You know, take us back to that 1996 tour, and then probably take us into the change room at half time, and maybe what the chat was at half time too. But I mean, what an honour to be able to take on New Zealand.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a shock for me. I played 6 tests, so I was just trying to cement my position in the team. Obviously, Francois had done an amazing job in '95. We all know about that. So he got injured in that Tri-Nations game in New Zealand, and then I think Andre felt that maybe because these guys came back so angry after '95, changing the captains, taking Francois out of the scene, that they might take the sting out of the tail, but it didn't. But yeah, I think playing in Kings Park, my hometown, we always knew the first one's key, because that pressure just mounts. So unfortunately we couldn't pull that one off. Then we knew Loftus, that we were under big pressure, and we felt that if we could pull that one off, then we in with a chance at Ellis Park. That game was probably my hardest game I've ever played. Yeah, and I think give credit, our team came back at Ellis Park, and it's always a bit of a dead rubber when you 2-0 up, but I know the New Zealanders, they would have wanted 3-0. That's just their nature. So I was very proud of the guys to come back at Ellis Park.
Well, Tom, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Why was it so important for Castle Double Malt for you guys to get behind this tour specifically? Because we know the history, but there was someone needed to back it, and you guys said, pick us, we want to.
Thank you, Leila. Good afternoon, everybody. I think Castle has always believed in the power of sport, because sport has the ability to bring people together around things that they love. We know what South Africans love the most. We love our rugby. This year we celebrate 42 years of an unbroken partnership with SA Rugby. So rugby is in the Castle DNA. From a Castle Double Malt perspective, what is interesting is actually the trophy itself. You know, we see 2 distinct nations come together to create something quite magnificent. And in our brand world, we have 2 distinct malts come together to create something magnificent in our liquid, in our brand, in our product. So it was a natural connection to link the trophy to the rivalry and of course to our product.
Okay, so I'm going to dive into your rugby brand now, a little bit. What do you it's
a prediction.
Well, I mean, if you're brave enough, you know.
No, we're supposed to be impartial. I just hope the 2 teams compete hard.
Like I was impartial today too.
Fans come together around what they love. You know.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I want to bring it over to you. 30 years on, we take a look at the teams now. Sean, I'll start with you. You know, what are some of those distinct things that you think stands out particularly about this new chapter that's being written in this All Blacks Springboks history?
Yeah, I think I'm quite comfortable where they're at. They've definitely moved on from where they were, at the start of this year. There seems to be a nice feel within the team, good messaging coming out. At the end of the day, we are playing the best team in the world, under no illusions. Double world champions, and they are good. They are very good, and we are going to have to be at our best. But I think we're moving in the right direction. Our set piece is better. I'm sure that Dave Rennie and the boys will be talking about that second test in Wellington last year after the win at Eden Park, and then to get beaten St Vincent in Wellington. But yeah, what I'm liking is there's a lot of young kids. Dave's picked a team on form. The Hurricanes with standout performance in the Super Rugby. The Chiefs were good also. Then a few young kids from the Blues. This guy Anton Setner just forced his way into the team just by purely putting the numbers on the track every game. So I like that. I like, but it's not, and that's also good. There's 40 odd players on this tour, and every one of them needs to contribute, along with the 20 odd management they've got. That's a team effort. That's one thing in '96 that got us through. Everyone did their job. Everyone contributed on and off the field. And I just think when we walked off Loftus and seeing the guys that hadn't even stripped, in their blazers and white shirts and ties on, performing the haka, led by the great Joe Maloney, just really sort of emphasised to me as a captain that we had a good bond. We were good mates, going to battle, and that's what it's like. It's a real battle, day in, day out here. And Saturday, as we both said, the first test is paramount. You need to win that. Otherwise, it's an uphill battle, as Gary found out. Let's think nice. I'm being nice. I knew that if it was 1-1 going to Ellis Park, we were never going to win.
Gary, to you, 30 years on, where South African rugby is at now. What are your feelings and thoughts pre this series?
Yeah, I think they've done a phenomenal job, and we'll put it down to SA Rugby as a whole. I think then Rassie, what he's achieved, I was fortunate to play with Rassie, and when you think back now, how he just studied the game even then. When we would rather go play a game of golf, he was studying, and I think that's just the nature of Rassie. He will know how difficult it is to beat New Zealand. Maybe they haven't been at their best for the last year or so, but he'll know once they play against South Africa, they just up it a notch. Someone told me, one of the press guys told me, if you added the points in our series, it was 1 point difference. So the game is always going to be close between the two. What Rassie's got is such a big base of quality players. With probably 1 or 2 positions, if he had sort of 2 injuries in a row, he might be under pressure. But with the rest, I think he's got 3 or 4 players that he's comfortable to choose, and he's had a plan. I think he's always got a plan. So they've all bought into what his plan is, the way they play, whether they're not on the bench or whether they're just part of the squad. They all buy into it, and it's great to see because we've been through some tough times before.
Thomas, you finally, respect is something that is tangible in this. What would you say, besides the Springboks winning, will you say is a tick, a yes, we've done it 30 years later, and bring on the next in 2030?
Yeah, I think everybody in the room knows that when the Springboks play the All Blacks, the entire world stops and watches. We heard from Sean and Gary what I guess the rivalry means for them as players and for the current players. At Castle Double Malt, we're most excited for what the rivalry creates for the fans. The energy, the passion, the nerves, the anxiety, and of course the celebrations. We heard how beer brings people together. So from our perspective, we're hosting thousands of activations all over the country to get people excited, hundreds of watch parties all over South Africa, to get people to watch the game and experience that energy. And the big tick for us is if people can come together and celebrate once more, hopefully with the Castle Double Malt in hand, I think it would be quite a successful campaign for us.
Amazing, gentlemen. Thank you so very much for joining me up on stage. You guys have been lovely. I can't wait to see you at every single game. To you, Thomas, Gary, Sean, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
I'm excited about Saturday. I think it's going to be a hell of a clash. You know, you get two teams that have been at top of World Rugby for a long time. 70% of the World Cups were won by these two teams, so I'm really excited about what's going to happen next.
Have you been a bit disappointed about the crowds that maybe for the provincial games, or do you think it's just part of all these games, a lot of the games being in Gauteng?
No, I think we knew that we were going to attract big crowds to the provincial games, especially on the Tuesday night. But with the test series is where we looked at, and that's where it sold out. We've got some seats left at FNB, but we're excited about the series. We've got a lot of visitors. I think the country must be excited because the economic impact for this event to the country, direct and indirect, is about 6.8 billion. So they're the biggest beneficiary out of this, and I'm excited about that.
Are there any lessons that you've learned already? I mean, we haven't hosted a tour like this for years, or I know you can do probably a full review afterwards, but so far, this far in the tour, anything that you think could have done differently, or wanted to do, we should have happened a bit differently?
I think that one of the things that we should look at is not having midweek games, especially for Gauteng and Durban. The midweek games don't work. The weekend games seem to have done well, both the weekend games. Also, maybe look at playing big teams like a SA team and a SA countries team, having teams like the teams playing in the SA Cup, a big team, giving those boys a chance. It's about creating opportunities. It's about pathways, and I think we need to create those pathways for the guys who don't have opportunity to play at this level.
Because the chances are, when this tour comes around again, as South Africa, you're probably going to be in the same situation. You are seeing off-season, teams in pre-season. That hasn't been ideal, I suppose.
It hasn't been ideal, but again, I don't harp on the global season. We need to sort our seasons out, and we'll always have this challenge until we can find a global season. But I think with the Nations Championship, we have a group of 12 countries, the 12 top-tier countries. I think we'll find a solution there. And then,
yeah, I was going to say, any last for me is just any chances that you any closer to the global season? I know it seems to be a holdout. Can you twist the arm around here?
I think we will be foolish if we don't find a global season, find a season that works for all of rugby. Because we don't find each other, somebody else will start another league, and their players will be playing elsewhere.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Gary, 30 years is a long time. I don't mean that in a bad way, but what's your memories of that specific series, and how do you compare the build-up to this series to what you guys experienced in the build-up to that series you guys played?
Look, it's not the series coming back. Obviously, brings back '96, and it's not a record that you would promote as a captain. But the honour of playing in that series was just very special. It was a great All Black side that was hurting a lot from '95, and like I said, there was fine margins. The overall series is 1 point difference, so it was great to be part of it. I think the difference now, Rusty and them are top of the world. We were probably in a bit of a different space with losing Francois that had been so good in '95, and there were a couple of other key players. So it wasn't easy. But again, I'd say I wouldn't change it. To play, we didn't know what was going to happen with professional rugby. Just started, so we didn't know where it was going. So yeah, I found myself very fortunate.
Are you hoping for a measure of revenge?
Always hoping, and I'm certainly going to be at the game, shouting and supporting our team. They really are a phenomenal team. They've given South Africa a lot of joy. We just hope the to keep it going. I think Russie's strength is never going to allow the team to get complacent, which could be something that people might say. But I think he's that kind of coach that won't let that happen. Injuries could play a big part in the series. 4 series in a row can play a big part. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting and like Sean said, it takes that whole squad to win this series.
Gary, how's it?
You're good.
Just tactically, what do you think are the key things the Springboks need to get right to come out on top?
Look, I haven't been involved in rugby for a long time, but where our forwards have just been so strong. And one thing we haven't, because of the sort of provincial or the provinces teams are quite watered down. We haven't had, Russie's got taken a lot of players out of the system. I think if our forwards can dominate like they have been in the past, I think New Zealand won't be used to that. What they've had in these last 3 games. They are a team that, when they're on the front foot, are very difficult to stop. So forwards playing a big part, putting in pressure on those set pieces. And then I think with our sort of back line, we've got 2 quality defensive centres there that will also hopefully stop the momentum of the All Blacks. Because if you can take their backs out of it and that free-flowing rugby, I think then you're in with a chance.
Gary, you probably would have probably given your left arm to have a team as settled as the Springboks are at the moment, and things were quite a bit different when you came in as captain.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Francois, he was a hero of the country, done a great job in 95. I hadn't been part of the World Cup 95, so I was sort of taking over a team that a lot of those players had played. So it wasn't easy, but I've got to say that every single one of those players backed me, and I must special mention to Joost was very instrumental in getting that support. So yeah, I think all games between the All Blacks are touch and go, and they were a team that were really determined to win. They were a good team. It was nice to be part of it.
Sorry, Brendan. Gary's got to fly. He's got to leave at 5, and he's got just 2 more TVs.
I was going to ask you at this point about shots, but don't worry.
Don't do that.
John Hart said a few weeks ago, never seen men as spent as that after that Pretoria game. Just what's your reflections of that and how you felt and just getting to watch some of those memories that year?
I think we were tired. That had been our third, played quite a few tests, our third test in South Africa. And it took everything. And what I think out there is that the thing about South Africa is they're very civilised. They don't go away. They have a huge amount of confidence. They keep on knocking on the door. And that's exactly what we did for us to finally get one over the Springboks in South Africa, which had never been done before. One of our great All Black fullbacks, a guy called Don Clark, who was living in Victoria at the time, playing in the tunnel. And he said, "Thank you so much for doing something that no other All Black team has ever done." Like a guy happy there, which sort of summed up to us.
Last thing from me, just funny off-field moments. What did you think of the nuns? What did you think of the, haka from the midweek team afterwards? Just how special are some of those memories that are etched in our countries?
I just think it's a wonderful rivalry. Our fans love it. There's going to be the same fans here on this tour. So great memories, and it's great for sport. It's great for rugby. We need this in terms of growing the game.
What's your assessment of where the All Blacks sit after those 3 team games?
It's a bit hard to tell, but the team is growing, without question. I think the way David's taking the team, solid rugby is trying to play, it's really positive.
as I'm saying, I need to remember also that we're to the 9 to the World Cup. So what better preparation than to South Africa?